Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
Good morning, people. Welcome back to the Big B Daily Show. This is your man, Brien Hanley, Big B. What's going on? We are live on TikTok. What's going on TikTok? And we are live on YouTube. Appreciate everybody coming out and joining us. Man, there's some stuff going on. It's kind of one of those near the end of the week before the Super Bowl. So there's not too much going on NFL-wise. We still got some coaching vacancies, or at least we have one. We had one that was taken yesterday. We'll get into that. Talking a little bit of NBA basketball. Doc Rivers still can't win a game in Milwaukee. Talking about the plight of Tony Snell. I'm not sure if a lot of you all have heard that story on what's going on with him. We got a mixed bag with that. We'll turn in, and we got a lot of other stuff going on. We'll have open mic session at the end, answer a lot of questions. So we will get this thing going, people. As always, just a little reminder on TikTok. We just keep tapping the screen. We want as many people as possible in here. 5,000 likes. We'll probably blow past that, but if we do, that's great. But we need at least that, and we need at least 30 new follows. So if you're in here, please give us a follow. We're also on YouTube. You can click the link in my bio, the YouTube link. Come on over, subscribe to Big B Sports Talk. Come subscribe over there, join the chat over there. We got a lot of stuff going on, so I appreciate everybody's support. Also on YouTube, on Tuesday nights, there is a new show that I am on. It's called the Instant Replay. Come and join that live stream on YouTube. So you got to be on YouTube and subscribe to Big B Sports Talk. It's funny. We do sports. We do pop culture. We do a lot of stuff. It's a ton of fun. A ton of fun. So come on over. Let's get it going, people. So Seattle made their hire. It took a little while, but it seems like they got the guy that they may have been looking for in McDonald. He goes to Seattle. He was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know if I'd necessarily like the hire. It's not that I don't like him. And I'll ask you guys, do you guys like the hire? Because the question is, isn't he just kind of a younger Pete Carroll? I mean, Pete Carroll, hey, good morning out there. Pete Carroll had a lot of energy, defensive guy. Now, Mike McDonald's a different type of personality. You don't see him running up and jumping up and down on the sidelines. But having said that, I don't know. I don't know. I thought they might go offensive guy. And maybe they let the offensive guys get away and they didn't have anybody. Maybe Ben Johnson told him no, just like he told Washington and a lot of other people, he told them no. So we don't know. We don't know. I would like to think that it's a good hire. And I'm not saying it's a bad hire or anything like that. I'm just not sure that I would have went that route if I'm Seattle. So I'm just not sure if I would have gone that route. We got our man, Pat Cockrell. What's going on, Pat? Honestly surprised they got a defensive-minded coach when they don't have a star QB to help them out defense or offensively. Yeah. I'll be interested to see who he gets as his offensive coordinator. I mean, I'll be very interested to see. There's a name going around that nobody is talking about this offseason. I tried to bring it into existence, especially for my Steelers. Eric Bieniemy, you haven't heard anything about him this offseason. Not going anywhere to be an offensive coordinator. Absolutely not anywhere to be a head coach. I mean, Eric Bieniemy, for the previous 5 seasons, it seemed like his name was brought up. He was interviewing all over the place. Next thing you know, you haven't heard anything. So somebody on TikTok saying without the Chiefs, he's nothing. I wouldn't say that because the Chiefs struggled without him during the regular season. Not to mention, he got Sam Howell playing decent football. So to say that Bieniemy is nothing without him is a lazy take at best, because they didn't have any good quarterback play over in Washington, and they made something out of nothing. So he was fine. He's fine. But, man, I don't know. You haven't heard his name. And not to mention, who is Washington going to hire? What are they even going to do? So, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what they're doing. Ben Johnson told him no. I think we all thought that he was going there. And the next thing you know, nothing. He tells him no. He'd rather stay. Again, this is a guy who's turned down 2 head coaching jobs the last couple of years. And the one thing I would say, you got to be careful doing that. You got to be careful. You get offered a head coaching job, those don't come around a dime a dozen, and you have a bad year as an offensive mind and your team has a bad year, next thing you know, your name is not as hot as what it once was. Now, maybe he's thinking, I need to get somewhere where they got an established quarterback. But, I mean, I guess my thoughts on that are most teams that have established quarterbacks aren't looking for a head coach. That would be my first thought. I mean, outside of the Chargers, where else do teams have these good established quarterbacks, that need a head coach? So it's crazy. It's crazy. If we know football, Roger Goodell calls the shots. Oh, so Roger Goodell, who works for the owners, he calls the shots. Got it. And yet you say that if you know football. Whew, but TikTok, you're starting off on one today. You're starting off crazy today. Let's flip it around. Let's flip it around, people. Lord have mercy. So Johnson to Bills head coach next year in 2025. Maybe. The Bills fans are trying to push out Sean McDermott. They're trying to push him out. So I don't know exactly. I mean, Buffalo was horrible before he got there. And I know he's made some questionable decisions, but he righted the ship. He got a new coordinator in there. He got rid of what was his name? I can't even think of his name, the offensive coordinator, but he's out. And he brought in Joe Brady. His name was Ken something. I just can't think of his last name right this second. But they got him out. He righted the ship. And now Buffalo, it seems like y'all still want to push him out. I don't know, man. Stick around for a while. So let him stick around. So the coordinator was not great in Buffalo. I don't know what you're talking about. They made a change. They fired the guy midseason, and they got better. Joe Brady got way better. So I don't know. McCann says that was the dumbest comment on TikTok today. Yeah. And it's early. So it's early. But we'll get it flipped around. We'll get it flipped around. So they'll get it flipped around, man. So I'm just trying to figure out who's going to Washington. Like I said, I don't necessarily dislike the hire in Seattle. I just thought they'd go a different direction. I thought they would go with an offensive mind. So McDermott will never beat Mahomes when it matters in January. He coaches scared. Did he coach scared in the playoff game this year? And I don't think he coached scared. I mean, how did he coach scared? I mean, they had an opportunity to win. His quarterback didn't make the plays at the end to win the game. How is he coaching scared? They ran the football right down the Chiefs' throat. They moved the football up and down the field. But at the end, he says he didn't let the best player play. What? He had an opportunity to make the plays. He just didn't make them. Didn't run enough. That's playing scared, not running enough. And Bills fans are upset. I get it. You're mad that you got beat. I don't know if it was McDermott's fault. As a matter of fact, I'm positive it was not his fault. Positive it was not his fault. He did the things. I mean, they were in position to win. The kicker missed the kick. Allen didn't make the plays to make the – I mean, I know nobody's going to say that. No Bills fan is going to say that. Allen did make the plays. So, but it is what it is. They had no turnovers in that game, by the way. So you didn't watch the game and you're just making excuses. The Bills had no turnovers when they played the Chiefs. 0. So we can make up stuff, and that's fine. If you don't want your coach, you can make up whatever you want. But, oh well. And then you're blaming Diggs. You're blaming Diggs' play on the coach. Got it. Allen just didn't make the plays at the end of the game. Yeah, he made them all game long until they needed him to make a play, and he didn't. So, oh well. It is what it is. It is what it is. But fire him. By all means, get rid of him. Get rid of McDermott. And when you go back to what you were before he got there, don't be mad. Just don't be mad. That's all I'm saying. I, as a Steeler fan, I got to live with that same type of ridicule. I keep saying, let's get rid of Tomlin. Let's move on from Tomlin. But when the Steelers stink for the next 3 years, I'll have to live with that. With you wanted to get rid of Tomlin and you brought in somebody else and you stink, I'll have to live with that too. So I get it. I get it. I know what Buffalo's problem is. I have that same problem. You want more. You want more. So I get it, man. I get it. So let's see. Question. So what happened to Belichick? Washington or does Belichick is finished? Belichick is done. Belichick, nobody. And let me ask everybody this question. Would you want to bring in and let's just look at it from this perspective, a 72-year-old coach who had 20 years of success, but the last 4 years has been horrible at putting a team together. And you know that he's only coaching to get a record and he's only going to be on your coaching your franchise for 3 years. Would you want to bring that guy in to be your head coach? And my answer is no. No, I don't. I don't think that you would want to bring that guy in. I think that's what people are thinking about Belichick. It's like, hey, man, the guy's the GOAT as far as the coach is concerned. But the last 4 years, he hasn't been very good. And you know he's only coaching another 2 or 3 years. Who hires a coach to be part of their franchise for 2 or 3 years? You want them to be there a decade, not 2 or 3 years, just so they can get a record. And you know what? Sometimes you just don't make it to break that record. Sometimes you just don't get there. You know? Sometimes you just don't get there. And it doesn't look like Bill Belichick is going to get there. At least not this year, because who's going to hire him to be the – I mean, is Washington going to hire Belichick? I think absolutely not. Doesn't mean that they won't, but I don't think there's – if they do, then they're just idiots, especially new ownership. What are you doing? So we'll see what happens with that. We will see what happens with that. So Pat Cockrell says that Belichick's going to be a Alabama analyst. Isn't that what happens to coaches? They get fired from somewhere, they go to Alabama, become an analyst, and then they go off and be a head coach somewhere else. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Let's move on, people. Let's move on. Oh, something caught my eye here. Somebody on TikTok said thoughts on Kenny P. Look, I can tell you about Louisville real quick. Keep Kenny Payne till April 1st and then fire his butt immediately. I know people in Louisville want to fire Kenny Payne right now because their program is awful, just god-awful. But why not save $2 million? You're not going to have a new coach by April 1st anyway. So why fire him now? What's the point? Keep him. Let him stay. And then once April 1st gets here, fire him, and then let's move on. So it is what it is. And it just so I'm so jaded as a Louisville basketball fan because they are so bad. They're so bad. I don't know what to do with myself. It just, oh, it's horrible. I got to find a way to like something. So let's move on, people. So Damian Lillard goes back to Portland. They can't get a win. The Bucks can't get a win. Doc Rivers, everybody thought that he was going to be the savior. Everybody thought that he was the savior of the Bucks. They haven't even won a game. And they can't go to Portland and win? Oh, my gosh. Doc Rivers. I tried to tell y'all, not I tried to tell you, I did tell you that Doc Rivers was a pathetic basketball coach, and he had no business getting this job. Oh. That was on them, not the coach. I mean, so were the other losses that Adrian Griffin had, were they all on the players and not him? Whew. So that's all I'm saying, man. Milwaukee, read the room. Well, they did read the room. They asked Giannis. Giannis didn't want Adrian Griffin, got him fired. But you bring in Doc, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. Doc Rivers is not the guy. He's never been the guy. Even when they won the title, when they had 3 Hall of Famers, he's never been the guy. Everybody's saying that he was a top 15 coach of all time. That quickly evaporated. You can't win, get past the second round anymore. So, and yeah, Portland put it to Milwaukee last night. Dame tried to make it work in his comeback. Couldn't do it. Got a big standing ovation, which he should have. He should have. You know, he was there. Apparently his family still lives there. But could not make it work. I get it. It's just Doc Rivers, man. Milwaukee's they're gonna dread that. You're gonna look up in the middle of March and they're gonna say, what in the hell were we doing? What did we do? Doc Rivers can't coach basketball anymore. What are we doing? So, yeah, Dave said the Knicks got it going on, don't they? The Knicks have it going on. I like that. Like I said yesterday, I think the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. I think the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. Cleveland is playing good basketball. If you're not paying attention, Cleveland is playing really good basketball right now. They're playing incredible. Donovan Mitchell is that guy. I don't know if Orlando's playing great basketball. They're winning some games. They're going to make the playoffs, you know. But I wouldn't say they're playing great basketball per se. Minnesota. So there's a lot of good teams going on right now. A lot of good things going on right now in the NBA. We got to pay attention. I think it's just almost funny, this whole Doc Rivers thing. I think it's wild. I just think it's sabotage. Hey, we're going to hire Doc Rivers. We need him. We're going to have him give you some advice on what to do, how to do it. I know you're a first-year head coach. He'll give you some advice. A month later, he's got your job. A month later, he's got your job. I mean, that's the definition of sabotage. And karma is going to destroy Milwaukee. I don't know if you guys believe in karma or not. I happen to believe in it. I think it's a real thing. And I think they're going to get dominated, just beat over the head with karma. And it's not going to end well this season for the Milwaukee Bucks. It may not have ended well anyway, but it definitely isn't going to now. So, yeah, somebody's talking about the Clippers. The Clippers are playing really good. The Clippers, Phoenix, OKC. The Lakers are not. The Lakers are struggling. And I want to see what the Lakers look like at the end of February. Let's see where they're at the end of February, because the trading deadline will have come and gone. Are they going to make a trade? Are they going to get rid of the coach? What are they going to do? I don't know. I don't think that they're good enough right now, the way that they are constructed, to compete. I don't think they guard the three-pointer enough. I don't think they shoot the three-pointer good enough. So we'll see what happens. Snitch Russell. If Snitch Russell can get going, they might have a chance. But he's so wishy-washy. They need Snitch Russell to get it going for them to be good. He got to get it going. He got to average 20, 22 points a game, Snitch Russell. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Let's move on, man. So, have you guys heard about Tony Snell and his situation? Tony Snell's guy in the NBA is famous for playing, I think he played like 20-something minutes in an NBA game and had zero stats. He was a guy who did that. Like, had no stats, like no fouls, no shot attempts, no points, no rebounds, no assists, no steal, no nothing. Just and played, like I said, I think it was like 25, 22 minutes or something, and had zero stats. He's a guy that did that at one point in time in his career. So he's played 9 years in the NBA, a little over 9 years. And he's wanting health care. Once you get to 10 years of service, you get health insurance as part of your pension plan. And right now he's in the G League, and he's looking for a team to sign him so he can be part of the pension plan. And he wants to be part of the pension plan because he's got two autistic children. His two sons are both autistic. And so, obviously with the medical costs that come with that, and they're young kids. They're young kids. They're not like 25 or something. They're very young kids. So he's wanting to be part of the pension plan, and he needs to sign on a team. I think it's by tomorrow to get part of the pension plan so he can be on the team by the rest of the year, so he can get his service time, so he can receive those benefits. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are upset. There's a lot of people that count other people's money. And so there's people that are counting his money because they say, hey, Tony Snell's made $52 million over his NBA career. He can go out and pay for his own health care insurance or go pay for health care himself. Okay. However, if he can be part of a company that pays for his insurance, wouldn't he want to do that? Wouldn't he want to save himself some money? People are out there, he can go pay for it himself. Well, why do I have to? I can't save myself money? People kill me with that. Why are you counting other people's money? Now, granted, here's my thought. He's not good enough to be in the NBA. He's on a D-League team. He's averaging like 4 or 5 points a game. He's not good enough to be on an NBA roster. Yeah, but neither is Giannis's brother. He ain't good enough to be on I don't even know if he's good enough to be on a D-League roster or G-League roster, whatever they call it. I don't even think he's good enough for that. But yet there he sits on Milwaukee's bench every night, getting mop-up minutes. So there's that. There's that. So I don't know. That's the thing about Tony Snell. I just think the whole thing is wild because I don't think people should be counting other people's money. That's my point. Stop counting other people's money. If you like them, you don't like them, whatever. But don't tell me that the guy shouldn't want to get on an NBA roster so he can try to get pension for health care to save himself some money. Now, whether he deserves to be on an NBA roster, that's a different conversation. That's a totally different conversation for a different day. But let's not act like he shouldn't try to do that. Of course he should. Of course he should. So it's just interesting to me. And people talking about how much money he has or how much money he's made, that's irrelevant. That is literally irrelevant how much money the guy has. Just because he wants to save himself some money. I mean, I brought it up to a buddy of mine. I'm like, well, look at Bill Gates' wife, his ex-wife. They got divorced, and she got all this money. You don't think in her divorce that she had a stipulation that she got insurance through Microsoft? Of course she did. Of course she did. I mean, she got billions of dollars. You don't think that she can afford healthcare insurance? But that's not what you do. If you can save a buck, you save a buck. It doesn't, I mean, Jeff Bezos' wife walked away with all those billions of dollars. You don't think she put in their divorce that she got insurance through Amazon? Of course she did. What's wrong with saving a buck, man? Especially on healthcare. I mean, healthcare is expensive. And it doesn't matter how much money I have. I don't want to pay that if I don't have to. I would rather use insurance. That's why we have insurance. It's not, well, I got all this money, so I don't care about insurance. People that think that way usually go broke. People that have that type of mindset, I got all this money, I'll just pay for it out of my pocket. Those are the type of people that go broke. That's all I'm saying. Those are the types that go broke. So hopefully, whatever his plight, whatever his circumstances are, hopefully it works out for him either way. Again, I'll be the first one to tell you, he's not NBA roster worthy. However, there's a lot of guys out there that aren't NBA roster worthy that are sitting on an NBA roster. You know, so maybe some team picks him up and just sits him on the end of the bench. I don't know. But I know his last few years, he wasn't great. He's still playing basketball. My whole thing is he's trying to get back into the NBA. That's why because he could go overseas and make money, but you're not going to go overseas and then come back and play in the NBA in the same season. So I think his plan is to try to get on an NBA roster, get that 10th year service, and if he wants to keep playing, then he'll go overseas and he can do that. Tough situation, though. Very tough. Hopefully it works out for him. But people got to stop counting other people's money. We got to stop. Don't count the man's money. You know? And I don't even say, hey, look at his kids. You got to do this. Just if the man wants to save money to take care of his family with healthcare insurance, then by all means, do that. And it doesn't matter how much money he spends or how much money his wife spends. Whatever. If he still wants that to take care of his family, then he should try to do that. More power to him, man. More power to him. All right. So we got through that stuff. Let's talk a little bit about what they were saying about Brock Purdy. I heard some stuff today, and let's move on. We'll get to the open mic session here. There was some stuff being said about Brock Purdy today that I thought was insane. Cam Newton is back at it, people. He's back at it. Clearly, Cam Newton is in the I want to promote my podcast phase of his life. And now he's saying that Brock Purdy, if you count everybody on San Francisco's team, he's the 10th best player on the team. I can't. I can't with Cam Newton anymore. Here's somebody in the chat. Jalen. Brock Purdy is a game manager. Is a game manager a bad thing, Jalen? I'll just let you answer that. Is that a bad thing, being a game manager? Purdy will take San Francisco to a win. He very well might. He very well might. So, of course not. So, if being a game manager is not a bad thing, then why are we calling him that? What's the point in calling he's a game manager? What's the point? I don't understand. Well, can't you just say he's the starting quarterback for the 49ers? If a game manager is not bad and you're not trying to downplay somebody by calling him a game manager, then why are you even saying that? Not to mention he is in the Super Bowl and he is responsible, not solely responsible, but he is responsible for getting there. I mean, his play, he elevated his play in the second half of that Detroit Lions game and put them on their back to get San Francisco to the Super Bowl. There ain't no denying that. So, I mean, if you want to say that he's a game manager, that's basically saying that you're trying to badmouth the guy and say that he's not as good, which, okay, if that's what you're trying to do, fine. But don't act like the man didn't play good football. Don't act like the man didn't play good football. So he did. He did. Now somebody, scam likely, 3 drop picks, 6s between Green Bay and Detroit. That happened. And when they needed him to make a play at the end of the Green Bay game, the last drive, did Brock Purdy make it or did he not? I think the answer to that question is yes, he did. So what else? He compared some game managers to game managers. Okay. Again, Cam Newton's out of control. He said that Brock Purdy was the 10th best player on his team. On what good team is the quarterback the 10th best player? Come on, Cam. Just stop. I know you're just trying to get your podcast numbers up. I get it. I'm trying to get mine up too. But my goodness, the outlandish statements just are unbelievable. Unbelievable. Then we got people over on YouTube. Super Golden Chris said 10th best is not too far off. McCaffrey, Debo, Trent Williams, Ayuk, Fred Warner, Kittle are all better. Well, that's 5 people. 6 people. And I don't know if you would say, well, I mean, is Debo? I don't know. People love Debo. I'm not high on Debo. I'm just not high on Debo. I'm not that big of a Debo fan. I know he makes a difference in their offense. I know he makes a difference based on what they do. I'm just not a big Debo guy. Because if you take away, and you can't because he's a great football player. I mean, he's a great football player. Not a good one. He's a great football player. But if you were just to say, hey, Debo, go line up a receiver, would he even be in the top 20 in the NFL? I don't think so. I don't think so. So, you got to give Brock Purdy his credit. Got to give him his credit. And stop trying to bash him by saying he's a game manager. Because that's what people are doing when you call him a game manager. He's in the Super Bowl. And if he wins the Super Bowl MVP, will he still just be a game manager? Sheesh. It's crazy. It's crazy. So here's my man Pat Cockrell over here. Who cares how QBs get things done? I'd rather have a game manager and play in the Super Bowl than have a QB that puts up crazy I don't know. That's the thing. When did they start bashing guys for playing? I don't know. For playing with good guys. And then all of a sudden, they're not very good. Or they're not as good. I mean, I don't remember anybody saying that Magic Johnson, that we bash Magic Johnson, and then all of a sudden he played with Kareem, but he wasn't as good. So, hold on, is the mic good? I clicked unmute. I think it should be good now. Let's go here. Give me 1 second, TikTok. Oh. That's why. Now we're back. We're back. So, yeah, it's wild that people bash. It's just wild that people are bashing him. And they bash people in general, I think, when they say that guys aren't as good because you played with other good players. I think that's crazy to me. I think that's crazy to me. It's a team sport, but I think it's wild. So, I think it's wild. My guy always got the hater blockers on. Yeah, you're right. So, he's a good young QB that plays with other good players. Exactly. What's wrong with playing with other good players? I mean, nobody says that Larry Bird isn't as good because he played with 2 Hall of Famers or 3 Hall of Famers. Are people saying that? No. No. And if you are saying that, you better not. You better stop. But nobody bashes P. You can't. I mean, I don't know when that became fashionable. You know what I'm saying? Is that when you're good, if you play with other good players, then you're not as good. Now, I agree that you don't have as much pressure because you have other guys playing, but that doesn't mean I'm a worse basketball player. That just means I didn't have as many responsibilities because I had other guys that could do other things. But that doesn't mean I'm worse. And I think a lot of the Purdy thing comes because of where he got drafted. Mr. Irrelevant. Last guy drafted in the draft. And my whole thing with Purdy was always, hey, he can't get it done when the pressure comes. He can't get it done and under some real game pressure. Well, then the man proved me wrong. He went out the last 2 weeks, and when the game was on the line, he came through. What else do you want? What else do you want him to do? At first, he played well with a good team around him. Then it was a stacked roster, and he was just a game manager. And he couldn't play well under pressure. He always had a lead. Well, then in the 2 biggest high-pressure games of his life, he comes up, 4th quarter drive against Green Bay to go win the game. And then a second half, he comes out and plays lights out and leads his team to a Super Bowl, regardless of what Dan Campbell did. Don't get me wrong. I agree. Dan Campbell gave the game away. But Brock Purdy stepped into what Detroit was giving him and took full advantage. So, just took advantage of it. So, and if they lose to the Chiefs, that ain't going to change the fact that he came through in the clutch. But if they lose to the Chiefs and he doesn't play well, best be sure that everybody's going to come out and saying, see, he couldn't do it. I mean, now you have to, and it's weird because it's like you have to win the Super Bowl under certain narratives to be considered good. So you have to win the Super Bowl to be considered good. Only if you're certain people, though. Lamar Jackson, you got to win the Super Bowl or you're terrible. He's a running back. Dak Prescott, choke artist, which he is a choke artist. And we've been loving that he choked every second of the Cowboys. So we love that fact, though. We love that fact. Choke, choke, choke. But the whole thing about it is that, Josh Allen doesn't get that same smoke, though. People will make so many excuses for Josh Allen. It's insane. Justin Herbert, same thing. All the excuses under the sun. So the Lions should have lost to LA anyway. I don't know why they should have lost. They beat them. I mean, it was a good game, but they beat them. So Packers do look promising next year, Jalen. They absolutely look promising. Get a little bit better on the O-line. They got to fix that defense. They're going to trade Jair Alexander, by the way, too. No way Jair Alexander is a Green Bay Packer next year. No way, no how. No way, no how. He doesn't want to be there. The front office doesn't want him to be there. There is no way that they are going to have him on the team next year. And that might be for the best. While Jair Alexander is very good, I think it's time that you're right. He's been hurt. He got hurt a lot this year. I think it's time that he goes to a different team. Sometimes a change of scenery is good for everybody. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be starting over. They got to get they got a new defensive coordinator, which I love that they plucked the guy from Boston College. Look, college coaches are saying F it now. They are getting out. They're tired of dealing with NIL and transfer portal. They are jumping at the first opportunity to go somewhere else, either to the NFL or, you know what? I don't want to be a head coach. I don't want that pressure and all the stuff, the nonsense that's going on. Until they fix it, I'm not doing it. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens, man. It's been interesting what's going on with college football, just to change the subject. College football, I love it, but they got to change some stuff, man. They got to change some stuff. I'm over the NIL. I'm over transfer portal. I think both of those things are good things for the sport, but they got to be tweaked for it to make sense. The NCAA is just licking their chops so they can come in and be the hero that saved the day. And it's just, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. So, Jalen, my man over on YouTube, my man Wakan says, Jair, come to the Lions. There's no way the Packers would trade him in division. There ain't no way. No way, no how. No way, no how. I'd take him at the Steelers. I would take Jair Alexander with the Steelers. I sure would. I'd take all that attitude and more at the Steelers, playing opposite of Joey Porter Jr. Would that be the best cornerback duo in the league? I think it would. So, but I'm wishful thinking. I'm still trying to get over Arthur Smith being hired at Pittsburgh. I'm still trying to get over it. So, it hurts my heart. Everybody says he's been a great, come on, B, what are you talking about? He was a great offensive coordinator in Tennessee. I'm like, was he? I know they ran the football successfully. They had Derrick Henry, and he made basket case Tannehill look a little bit competent. I'm just not, prove it to me. Prove it to me. So that's all I'm saying. You got to prove it to me for me to believe it. So we'll see how that goes. Final four picks. My man Pat Cockrell says, who are your final four picks right now? That's a good question. And TikTok, I want y'all to be involved. College basketball. Who are your final four teams right now? I would say, because there's going to be one team that nobody picks. That happens the way that college basketball is set up right now, the parity, which I love, there's going to be somebody that's going to be in the Final Four that nobody thinks is going to be there. There's somebody that's probably struggling right now that's going to end up getting hot and going to the Final Four. First thing is, somebody said UConn. I believe UConn is going to be a team that will make it. I believe they have all the right stuff to get to the Final Four. The team that I also believe, just because of the way they play, and I hate to say it because I can't stand them, is Kentucky. Kentucky scores. Now, they don't defend anybody, but Kentucky can outscore everybody. And if you get into a game with them, you get up and down, even though sometimes the games slow down, their offensive efficiency is so good, Kentucky, because they can do it. They can score the basketball. They can't defend you, but they can score. Let's see. Illinois. Somebody says Illinois. I don't believe in Purdue. Until Purdue proves that Purdue can beat a team that's got athletic wings in the tournament, I am not going to be a believer. I don't care what they do in the regular season. I am not going to be a believer. That's the definition of show me better than you can tell me. And somebody also said, Brandon, he's got UConn, North Carolina, Purdue, and Tennessee. Tennessee doesn't score enough. Tennessee doesn't score enough. I mean, you can't be getting 59 points at home against South Carolina and losing. That doesn't work. They struggle too much on the offensive end to get there. Kansas doesn't have a deep enough bench. Not this year. I think North Carolina can make it, though. I think North Carolina. Marquette is a sleeper. Somebody put out there. Yeah. Marquette, definitely a sleeper. I think everybody's off the Florida Atlantic train. But what about Dayton? Think Dayton. Houston. Houston's another good one. I don't think Duke is a sleeper because I don't think Duke can. They definitely don't defend well enough, and they don't score it well enough. So I don't think Duke is a sleeper. So, and Kentucky lost last night. Yeah. Hey, I mean, you're not hurting my feelings about saying Kentucky lost. Good for them. I'm glad. I hope Kentucky loses every game. So, but I like Dayton. I like Dayton as a sleeper. Mid-major, Arizona making a run. I like that too. So, Florida Atlantic, they're playing well. They've lost some games, but I just think, who's the one team? Because I think this is fun. I could talk college basketball with y'all all day. I told you before, this is my second favorite sport. NFL and then college basketball. Who is a team? Creighton, Houston. Yeah, I like that. I like Creighton. I like that Creighton pick, Wakan. I like Creighton. But who are sleepers out there? Let's just talk sleepers. So who is the sleeper team that you guys think can make a deep run? And by the way, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, Big B Daily Show, live on TikTok, live on YouTube. Please always come and join us. If you're not following on TikTok, please give me a follow. We appreciate it. We absolutely appreciate it. And click the link in my bio, the YouTube link, and come and join the chat over on YouTube. Subscribe to Big B Sports Talk. Boston College. Boston College? I don't know, man. Iowa State is a great one, Chuck and Pierce. Iowa State is a great one. Greg, I don't know that Houston is a sleeper. I don't think Houston or Marquette are sleepers. Dayton, I agree with because they're in a mid-major. But the others, I don't know. I don't think they're sleepers, but I love where your head's at. Wisconsin, that's another one. So, Iowa, no. Iowa's not going to do anything. Iowa can't guard anybody. They haven't been able to guard anybody in like 10 years. Pat Cockrell, my man, Texas Tech. Now, look, nobody thought Texas Tech was getting to the final game a few years ago when they lost to Virginia. The problem that I have with Texas Tech, they don't rebound the ball well, especially on the defensive end. And if you don't rebound the ball, it's hard to make a run in the tournament. You know what I'm saying? I would love for Tech to get there. Love for a Big 12 team to get there. But they don't rebound the ball well enough, man. They just don't. So Utah State, I like that. New Mexico. Look at y'all. Check out what New Mexico is doing out there with little Patino, with baby Patino. New Mexico is doing something. I don't think Baylor is consistent enough. I like Baylor, but they're not consistent enough. Oklahoma is a team that got hot early. I think Oklahoma will end up making it work because they defend. So they defend. South Carolina, no chance. Although they're playing better. I'll give South Carolina credit. They're playing better basketball. And like I said, they just went to Tennessee and won. So they just went to Tennessee and won. Let me ask you all this question. This is switching topics on you real quick. I got into this heated debate the other day, and they were saying that Caitlin Clark is the greatest women's college basketball player ever. And I said, are you out of your mind? And he said because of the way that the college basketball has evolved, that she's the greatest basketball player, women's college basketball player ever. And I'm like, let me get this straight. Paige Beckers, before her blew her knee out, was better than her. She wasn't even the best player in her own class, but yet she's the greatest college player ever? I'm like, come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh. And I see you all are educated. Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops. There's just so many people. Cheryl Miller, to me, is the greatest women's player ever. She was before her time. She didn't play long enough because in the pros, because her knees blew out. Nobody's better than Cheryl Miller. You won't be able to convince me of that. The things that she could do on the court, people still can't do that at her size. So, Candace Parker, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah. I get it that she's very good. First of all, Caitlin Clark, you can't take that away from her. She's very good. She makes a lot of shots, but she can't guard a telephone pole. She cannot guard a telephone pole. And until you can do it on both ends, I don't want to hear it. So, I don't want to hear it. Well, Iowa fans can be indebted to her, and they should be. I mean, again, it's not like she's garbage. It's not like she can't play. But to say that she's the best college player ever is just a complete fabrication. So look at South Carolina. I got to start paying more attention to SEC basketball. I didn't realize South Carolina was that good. First of all, how is South Carolina not ranked? Let's talk about that. How is South Carolina not ranked? 8-2 or 6-2 in the SEC, 18-3 overall. Now, the non-conference was a little weak, but the SEC's got some good basketball teams in it. Huh. Interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, college basketball is in full effect. I love it. I'm telling y'all, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about college basketball because it's a big weekend. I love it. It's my second favorite sport. And it's not that much further down for me than the NFL. And I love college football. I love it. But college basketball, the parity in college basketball makes it better to me because anybody can win. Not to mention, my favorite time of the year in sports is March Madness. March Madness is my jam. I used to go to Vegas every year. Me and the fellas would go to Vegas every year for the first weekend. Outstanding. Loved it. Still love it. Getting a little older now. I can't tie it on like I used to tie it on in Vegas. You know, I can go for a night. But I can't do 4 days of Vegas anymore. I can't do that. I'd get to 1.5, and I'd have to be in the emergency room. They'd have to pump my stomach. My liver would be all tightened up, too much alcohol. I can't do it, people. I can't do it. I'm too old. I just cannot do it. Can't do it. And the problem is, I know I can't do it, but I sure would try. I sure would try. But just can't do it. So, Pat Cockrell, before we get out of here, he brings up a point talking about there's talk about the Big 12 being overrated league. Can you please educate the masses on this horrible take? Anybody that's saying that the Big 12 is overrated either isn't paying attention to college basketball or they have no clue what they're watching. The Big 12 is the best league in the country by far, and it's not close. There are other good conferences. There are other good conferences. But don't tell me they're better than the Big 12 because they're just not. So they are just not. Lily, jumped in late. Seahawks got a good coach. I like the coach. I just thought they'd go a different way. I guess maybe I'm a little disappointed that they went a different way with their coaching search. I think that's what it is for me. I thought they'd go offensive-minded. So, but it is what it is. Appreciate the gifts, Ginger Snap. So, all right, people, we are going to close this one down. We're going to shut this one down for today. Again, Big B Daily Show, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time is our start time. We moved it from 4 back to 9 or up to 9. It's a much better time for me. Seems to be a much better time for you. I appreciate it. Remember, we got another show over on YouTube. So, again, if you're not following, please give me a follow on TikTok and click on that link and come subscribe over on YouTube to Big B Sports Talk. Instant replay, people, on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time. It's me and another buddy of mine that I played football with at Kansas State. We give you sports, pop culture, ton of laughs. It's a ton of fun. Come and check out the live stream. We do it live. We just started doing it. So we do it live every Tuesday. Y'all will like it. Y'all will like it. And more importantly, come into the live chat. There's a lot of people that are in the live chat on that, and you guys would love it. So anybody on TikTok, come on over. If you're already on subscribed over on YouTube, make sure you tune in. Better yet, hit the notification bell. Hit the notification bell so you know when it's coming on. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central Time. Instant replay. Other than that, I appreciate you guys, man. I will see you guys tomorrow. Aloha.